So the first thing we're going to do is play. We're going to let you see student Desmos as a student would see it. So I want you to please just follow the instructions on the screen. Go to not Desmos, but student.desmos.com. Type in that class code. And if you want to log in with your account, do it. If not, you don't have to log in with an account, but we'll talk about that in a moment. So log in to this activity. And then once you are there, you'll arrive at screen 1. And once you arrive at screen 1, please give me a thumbs up. Caroline, okay. So everybody that can get in, pretty cool. And now you're seeing my screen. What you're seeing is the teacher dashboard. So this is what the teacher sees once the students begin working on an activity. And of course, this is the activity you're working on. I have here the name of the activity, the class code, and I can share this. This is one of the first new features from Knowledge Hook. I can share these with another teacher. So we can co-teach using the same class code. Kind of cool. All right. And we have other features here, but I'm going to take a look at what people are doing. We have Melissa and Melissa, which is kind of cool because we're not going to know which Melissa is who, but that's even more fun. So when I click on one of the Melissas, this is what I see. So they tell me a little story, and they're very efficient. They tell me that the blue turtle won, right? And if you notice, I can click on these. Yes, then I'm going to go to my next student, if you notice here, and Shirley. Look at Shirley. She is a literarian person. Two turtle, Jack and Jill were in a race. Jill took her time cheating by and made second place. Jack, starting behind, always competitive, ran ahead and swooped into first place. I love it. Very, very cool. Then Lisa, Turtle 1, which is sort of pink, had a head start, ended second. Turtle 2 started further back with a greater speed and ended first. What did they win? Awesome. Right now, the first feature I wanted to mention to you that you already know, or you may know, is the pacing feature, okay? So right now, this activity has 9 screens, as you can see, but you can only work on screen 1. And I did that deliberately so we could talk about it. And I can do this with my students, just like I did a moment ago, where I went over the solutions that everybody has put in. So I can pay. How do I do that? Take a look here on the screen where it says pacing. And now I can pace the screens any way I want. So I'm going to go and let you pace from screens 1. Excuse me, I'm gonna pace from screen 1 to screen 3, and I'm gonna let you play a few more minutes with these lovely turtles. That's the next feature I wanna show you of Desmos is pause. Take a look here. So now you're frozen. So the difference between pacing and pause is that pacing allows you to go to let the students go to a range of screens. Pause freezes everybody. So now you can get their attention. Now, if you notice here, I'm going to look at screen 2, right? Everybody, Dennis came in just a bit after, so he was not able to get to finish screen 1, but I can see everybody else. Now, if I want to share things with my students, I may be more tempted to be, depends on my comfort level and their comfort level as far as sharing the names. I may want to be a bit more discreet. So I'm going to do these. This is the next feature. Take a look here at anonymize. And all of a sudden, everybody is somebody else, right? And every one of these people are amazing mathematicians, which is very, very cool. I can also change the order in which these names appear. Take a look at this little button here. This tool allows me to sort by name. So now this is sorted alphabetically by my student names, or I can shuffle them and change the order if I want to not so for the students not to focus on who wrote what, but to to see what actually happened, right? So I can see now that, say, at screen 2, I have 3 students that in that screen have this little tick mark. I'm going to click on one of them, and this is what happened. Well, they were asked to fill in this table, right, for the turtle in lane 2, and this student is able to see that this turtle is going 3 feet per second, and they are able to fill the table. And also, if you try to fill the different value, Desmos told you, hey, you need to check your work. And you were able to check your work. They did it fine. And that's what I see here, that they got the tick mark, that they got it correctly. This student hasn't yet. So I'm going to see what happened there. So this student perhaps is thinking approximation, perhaps is looking for more, a different values. Whatever it is the case, if he were to check my work, this is what will happen. And what that means, take a look at what happened in this specific case. How the turtles on lane 2, you notice it has the excess, because it's telling us that the values that were placed in the table were not accurate. So this is a very simple mechanism for the student to actually check their work. Very friendly, so they can reset, and then they go, that didn't work, and then fix it. Alternatively, of course, you can do what we're doing now and talk about this, right? And you might do something like this, where you go to a student who completed the table successfully, and highlight what happened. And maybe when you do these, you let them go, and then the students who hadn't seen it are able to see it and correct it. So if I reset these and the student check their work, take a look how the turtle number 2, we have successful little marks when they match the time that the student plays. So very nice. I can see these. I can shuffle my students. Fantastic. Now, this is the next feature that is really one of my favorites. I'm going to pick on this student again, and I'm going to give them feedback right now. Take a look at this icon at the top. See where it says lesson feedback? So I'm going to tell something to this student like these approximations are interesting. Consider whole numbers or something like that. Yeah. And what I do is I'm sending this message to this student. This student will get a little note on this screen from me. And that also gives them an idea of what's happening, which is pretty cool. I absolutely love this feature, because now we're able to be talking to our students. And of course, this is happening live. This doesn't have to happen live, right? So let's say you assign this activity and students have been working on it. You can come back anytime. Let's say you can use your office hours for this, and then you can come and give all your students feedback directly, which is something that is very new, and I think it's pretty amazing. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next screen, and then here there's a table. This is another very lovely feature of some of these activities in Desmos, that in this case, for example, the Desmos brings the previous table to the next screen, right? And here, as you notice, you wrote an answer, but it asks you to explain your thinking. So it's beyond just these kids doing things mechanically. There's engagement because the activity is fun, it's interesting. There's good thinking because of the table, but there's also the logic of explaining what they are thinking. So as we're doing this, think of these being your lesson. These could be a lesson that you put together, and this is connecting proportional reasoning, linear relations, and a number of other things. Good. So this is kind of, so I'm going to unpause the activity, and I'm going to stop the pacing, And I want you for the next 4 or 5 minutes just to go and explore this activity and see where it goes, okay? So you don't have to answer if you don't want to. You can answer if you want to, but go play with it for a bit and see where it goes, and think of the curriculum that you have for grade 9, and in particular grade 9, in linear relations and other stuff, right? So I'll let you play with it for 5 minutes. When students are logged in with their own student account, all the work that they do stays with them, and they can go back in and re-enter activities that were partially finished, that the teacher has assigned. If they do not log in with their account, like we have done now, just for the sake of expediency, the work is there for you as a teacher, but they lose the work. They lose the access. Carolyn responded, and I'm going to reiterate it a bit, is some of you are thinking, yeah, this is nice. Everybody's here. We're doing it live, which is perfect. Can they do that on their own? Yes, they can, right? And I'm going to later show you a very easy way that you can put any of these in the Google Classroom. And now that we have this ability to give feedback to the students on every screen, that also enriches the experience. If you can, you just consider, if it's possible, to maybe once or twice get, maybe not all the students, but maybe the smaller groups, to come and at least begin to do a lesson with you, because now they're hearing your voice, they can see what you're doing, or the feedback that you're giving them. Of course, you can do it on an asynchronous mode, whatever works for you. Okay, so I'm going to pause the Desmos. Sorry about that. And then I'm going to show you another feature that is very, very cool. And this is also for when we are live. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to show you, actually, I'm going to go, if you see the top of the screen, I'm going to touch on each of these items here, on these buttons. The first one is called a snapshot. Okay. I'm going to create 3 snapshots of student work right now. Okay, so I'm going to go to this student at this screen, and I can see that they have created this line for our new turtle. I'm going to take a snapshot of it. Take a look at it here. You see the little camera? I just took a snapshot. Okay, I'm going to go to the next student and do the same thing. And then I'm going to go to the next student and do the same thing. Okay, so I created 3 snapshots of student work. Now I'm going to go, and of course this doesn't have to happen while the students are watching, right? You're kind of getting the both parts of the world. You see the student and the teacher. I would do these while they're working on it. They don't have to be seeing my, obviously, my dashboard. And here are the 3 snapshots, okay? When I click on snapshot, here they are. I'm going to drag them to start a collection. Here, here, and here. And right now, I could do this. I could present. And now all my students are seeing this. And we can talk about, we can do a brief debrief about this, why is this line like this? And we can maybe invite our students to elaborate on this. We can see what's happening. And by sharing these, let's say this is a common misconception, right? We can address that and say, well, this is what's happening. The reason you're seeing this is because whatever, maybe the student is thinking that this is where they should be putting the point, etc. So this allows you to pull them in. And you can do that anytime. Pretty cool. That's a snapshot. When I click on summary, I see all my table with everything that my students have done at a glance. And again, this can be done remotely, right? I mean, I teach a night school class, and yesterday I assigned a Desmos. We did a little bit of the Desmos in class for the students that were there. The rest know that it's assigned, and I can see what they have done anytime. I can pause these anytime as well. So if at some point I don't know if that's what we want to do, but if at some point you said, well, we need you to finish this activity by this time, there's a deadline, you can come and pause it, right? And then nobody else can add stuff. So a number of very valuable things. Earlier today, I was speaking with a colleague that was telling me one thing that I'm not crazy about Google Classroom is that I don't know if my kids are coming in or not. I don't know if they're looking at the stuff I'm giving them or not. Take a look at this. We know who is in. We know who came in. If we want, we know who came in by time. You know, if somebody said, oh, I've been there the whole time, is like, no, Mr. Bernoulli, you were the last one in. I can tell you that, right? So we have a lot of very valuable tools that allow our teaching to be more solid and our students to be more accountable, right? If that's what we want to do. So that's the summary. Beautiful. I can see what's happened. I can give students feedback by exception, right? If I look here, I need to maybe send this student a bit of feedback, right? And so now I can come here and make a note, give my student whatever feedback I want, and I know that hopefully they'll read it, and this by exception, only that student knows it. The next tab is, or dot, is teacher. So when I go into teacher, I like this one a lot because I see the summary of the answers for a given screen. So this is telling me at a glance everything that happened on screen 1 with all my students. I can see here what happened with screen 2. I have all the work of all my students just at a glance, which is fantastic, right? I'm going to show you what the graphs look like. These one, I can see some of the graphs and the explanations the students gave, which is fantastic. Actually, I can overlay some of the responses the kids have, or all of the responses, right? So this view allows me to summarize by screen and analyze answers item by item, screen by screen. And the last tab here that says student allows me to basically see what the student sees. So if I go back to screen 1, this is exactly what my students are seeing on screen 1, screen 2, and so forth. Pretty cool. So I have a whole picture of what's happening in my class. If it's live, if it's not live, it doesn't matter. You can access these anytime. Okay, so we've talked about all these tools. I'm gonna unbreak the pause, and I'm gonna go, and we are going to now ask you to leave here. Thank you very much for participating and racing these turtles. I hope you had fun with them. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go to teach. Hold on, Carolyn raised her hand. Yes, Carolyn.
There was a question about feedback, Alfonso, about whether or not feedback only could come from teachers to students, or whether students can give teachers feedback as well or ask questions.
That's a great question. And the answer is teacher to students only. Oh, sorry, no, hold on. Let me make sure I understood, because I may be answering something different. You can give the students feedback. Are you asking if the students respond, or students to student?
The question was, is feedback only teacher to student, or can students ask teachers questions somehow?
I think it's just student to teacher, teacher to student, excuse me. But you know what? We're going to test it right now. I'm going to give somebody feedback. Okay, so don't leave. Let's do this right now. I'm going to go to the summary. I'm going to give Shirley feedback on screen screen 1. Actually, I don't need to give her feedback. It's not a summing. Oh, yeah, I can. I'm going to go back here on screen 1, and I'm going to press feedback, and I'm going to tell Shirley, I love this story. Yeah, and I'm going to send it. Okay, so now, Shirley, can you tell us if you got to see that bit of feedback on screen 1? So
what do you want me to do?
Can you go to screen 2, or to screen 1, excuse me?
Screen 1, yeah.
Can you actually, Shirley,
yes.
I'm going to.
Speak.
You see it?
I
Okay.
do.
All right. Now, is there a way that you can write something back?
No, there isn't.
No. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
kind of figure that it's
Yeah.
student to teacher to student. Basically, what you I guess the way you would see the feedback or the students act on the feedback is you give them, you ask them to do something and they do it, right? And so you know that they have acted on that feedback. So good question. Thank you, Carolyn, again. All right. So let's we're going to go out of these of the teacher part, of the student part. So now let's go back and please go to teacher.desmos.com and log into your account. And as you do that, please, if you haven't, if you look at my email that I sent earlier, click on the collections and you will see them appear on your screen when you log into teacher.desmos.com, and then you can just add and copy those collections to your own home page. So I'm going to pause sharing the screen, and I'm going to give you a moment to do that. And once you do that, then we'll reconvene screen. So is everybody at the page on your computer, Desmos, that looks like this? And you probably had two pop-ups when you clicked on my collections to add the collections to your collections. And I hope you did. Okay, so this is, many of you are familiar with this, right? They have created collections. The these interesting part with Desmos, it's an American thing, so they don't go by grade. It's just topic really more that is centered. So, but I want to share a couple of things with you. If you go here on the left side, you'll see collections, custom, and history. Okay, if you click on collections, you will see your own collections. So right now you may see the three that I, or the two, excuse me, that I added with for you, right? These collections that I curated, and some include activities that I've made, are by no means extensive, okay? But they're good, nice activities to sort of to get you going. So I'm gonna click, say, in the grade 9, and it may say created by Alfonso Garcia, whatever, and then you can see each of these activities, right? So if you go, if I follow my screen, they're very, very cool activities, by the way, all of them are. And some of them came from different people via Carolyn. This pondering percent is from John Orr. Carolyn shared it with us in our group, in our class, and so on and so forth, right? These one, here's our total activity that we just did. So let's say you want to see, you want to assign a Desmos activity to your students, okay? So this is how you do it. You can find it in the collection, you can find it anywhere, but let's say you're here and you're going to assign them this. So you click on it. Actually, let's do it differently. Excuse me. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna pick grade 10 collection. Yeah. And there's all kinds of things. And I'm gonna look at racing cars, okay? So this is what I literally would do, what I do when I'm working to give my students Desmos activities. I have an idea in mind of where are we in the curriculum, what topics we're addressing, and then I look for some activities. So the first thing I do is look at the student preview, right? And I run it like a student a bit. So these, by the way, all of these have these teacher moves that the creator put there for us to use or not, and you can turn them on or off. And this tells me there's two cars that are racing, right? And I can see that they're moving, and I need to drag the black point to where they think they're gonna meet. That's kind of cool. So I think I'm gonna meet there. And then they're asking me how confident I am about my prediction. I am somewhat confident, right? And then I can move to the next screen. So I can literally see what will my students experience. And so I like this. I go, this is kind of cool. I like this activity. It's kind of involves cars, guessing. Uh, it's probably will appeal to a lot of 1P boys, perhaps, or 2P. I don't know. And then I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it. I would go through the activity. I want to show you something that is called a class gallery. Not every activity has this, but the activities that do is fantastic. Here, the students literally create a challenge for their peers. So here, create a race for your classmates to solve. First, drag the cards to starting points of your choice. So let me see if I can. I'm going to start this card here, and then I'm going to start this here, right? Okay, and I go next. This is what students would be doing. Next, drag the orange and blue cards so where you want them after 5 seconds have passed. So I'm going to go this one here, and I'm going to make the blue a bit faster. Yes? And then here are the starting position of the two cars, well, with the cars meet. Now I have to figure it out, right? I have to figure this out, write my answer, right? And then I can share it with my students. And I really haven't done a lot of this thinking, so I'm going to say at 50. Oh, and look at it, it's calculating it. Oh, not quite. So I can kind of fix it a bit. I can see my response, maybe at 52, 53, and let's see what happens. Pretty cool, right? Oh my goodness, I'm almost there. Anyway, so once I do these and I'm happy with it as a student, I can submit this challenge. You see this at the top? And what will happen specifically with this activity, there will be a gallery of all the students' challenges that they pose to their peers. And they can be answering to their own peers the challenges that they pose to themselves. How cool is that? Very, very, very nice. So let's say I like it. I'm like, yes, this is a cool activity. This is gonna be half of my week. So I'm going to create a class code. Yeah, take a look, create a class code. And when that happens, it generates automatically a code that is unique to that class. Yeah, beautiful. So I'm happy. I have my class code. Now how my kid's gonna know? I'm gonna put it in the Google Classroom, okay? So I'm gonna go here in the code, and I'm gonna generate one code per class, okay? I'm not gonna reuse the code for 2 classes. I want to match my students with for that activity, right? So I can just, in my dashboard, I can keep track of that class. If I look at these 3 dots, at the little snowman, I can later archive this activity, or I can get a student link. Take a look here at the little 3 dots. So I'm gonna get the student link. There it is, and this is what you showed. This is nice. I could paste it somewhere. That's not bad, but you know what? I wanna make it very easy for my students. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to highlight it, right click, or Control C, copy. So I have that link in my clipboard. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to my Google Classroom. I'm going to go here to my Google Classroom. And I think these would be an assignment, right? So I'm going to go to this class, and I'm going to go to classwork, and I'm going to create an assignment. So here we're going to call these Desmos car race, okay? And I'm going to add the link. So I Control V or right click paste, add the link, and there it is, okay? So I'm going to assign these to my students, and this is what will happen when they come in. When they go in, they see the link, they click on it, and look what it does. It takes them directly to the activity, to the link. The link is already pre-filled for them. You don't have to be fiddling with, oh, there's a link, I don't know, I lost it, etc. You can still post it if you want, but these will get them directly there, okay? And again, they have to create an account. If they haven't, they'll create it now. Um, and you want them to create the account for the reasons I explained before. There's another very interesting point that you need to know about this. When a student arrives here, they have the code. Let's say they need to work on a previous activity. You will have students that go, oh, I don't remember the code. I don't have it. I don't know. All they have to do is this. Look at the screen here. This is a recent activity they done. Here, see all. And when they click this, what they're going to get is a list with links to all the activities that they have done. So that's one of the reasons they need their account, right? So there's no, I don't know where it is. What is the code? Here it is. Yes. So it's pretty amazing. So now we can put these in our Google Classroom very easily. And yeah, and all these things are available to us, very friendly. I'm not sure if there's anything else. Let me go just here for a moment. I think we're pretty well done. So, of course, you can search for topics or activities here in the home Desmos as teacher. If you wanted to type, say, functions, there's all kinds of things and you can look at them. The reason for me to share those two little collections was for you to just get started, right? You can go and explore all these pages as much as you want. Desmos is very aware of what's happening with COVID-19, and they have more resources here for distance learning. It's amazing what they're doing. So one last. Let's say you already assigned something, the kids are in, and then you go, how do I see it again? Right? Where is it for you? So you would go to history. Yeah. So when you go to history, I see everything that I have assigned. So this is the class that we run today. So then I can just go here and activate it again, and I'm back where we were, right? On our class with our turtles that we were playing a little bit ago, right? Piece of cake. When I want to go back, I click on the D, and it takes me back to the home page collection. So here it is. So I'm going to go to collections. I already have some. You may have just the 3 that I made. Take a look here. New collection. Yeah. And then you can give it a name, and you can give it a description. You can have a link, and you can share it with your colleagues. You can keep it all to yourself if you want, whatever you want. Okay. You can, I think, change the color. So that's how you create a collection. Beautiful question, Lisa. Thanks a lot. How do you append or edit a collection? Once you're in this collection, you can go here in the little 3 dots. You see edit collection. And then you can remove, add, edit, and do whatever you want, rename, etc. So that's also pretty cool. The other way, which probably is the most likely scenario, is that we find an activity that we like, right? So let's say I am going to look for something called quadratic, right? And then I do a search. There's all kinds of stuff. So let's say I kind of like this activity, right? I looked at it, blah, blah, blah. And so I want to add it to one of my collections. So all I have to do here is, oh, sorry, scusi. Let me go back. When I click this plus sign, it gives me all the collections I have. So then let's say I want to add this. I haven't seen it, so I really don't know. But it says deep understanding exponential between tables, graph, and equations. That might be good for grade 10. It might be good even for my 3U, right? And so I highlight those two and I save it, and it's been added to my collections. So amazing tool that we have now. The difference between history and custom is activities that you have made or that you have curated, and we can edit. We're going to talk about creating your own activities at another session. History is activities you have assigned already. Okay, so you go back to them.